Meghan Markle just made the kind of mistake you can't come back from, and the explosion is rocking the Sussex household to its foundation. Insiders claim Prince Harry is in full panic mode after his wife's ego-driven demand to be announced as the Duchess of Sussex in casual settings has detonated into a PR catastrophe of epic proportions. We're not talking about a minor stumble here. This is a full-scale meltdown that's exposing Meghan's true priorities, and sources close to the situation reveal that even Harry can't spin his way out of this disaster. The backlash has been so fierce, so immediate, and so widespread that palace insiders whisper this might be the moment that finally destroys whatever credibility the Sussexes had left. So what exactly happened? Harper's Bazaar published what was supposed to be Meghan's grand comeback, a carefully crafted cover story designed to make America fall in love with her all over again. Instead, it became Exhibit A in the case against her. Buried in the glossy pages was a revelation so staggering that readers had to read it twice to believe it. According to reports, Meghan allegedly demands to be formally announced when she walks into a room, insisting that people use her full royal title even in private, informal settings. We're talking about someone who expects the same treatment Queen Elizabeth received at state functions, except Meghan wants it at dinner parties and casual gatherings. The audacity is breathtaking, and the public response has been absolutely brutal. Social media went into overdrive within hours. The mockery was relentless and creative. One viral comparison showed Meghan in her beige trench coat side by side with television detective Columbo, and the resemblance sparked thousands of memes that spread like wildfire. But beneath the jokes lay genuine outrage. Royal commentators called it the most tone-deaf move of Meghan's already controversial post-royal career. Palace insiders whisper that this demand confirms their worst fears about her, that she never understood what service actually means, that she wanted the crown without the responsibility, the admiration without earning it, and the deference without demonstrating any humility whatsoever. The timing made everything worse. This bombshell dropped during the exact same week that Prince William and Princess Catherine were reminding the world what authentic royalty looks like. They attended the Royal Variety performance at Royal Albert Hall, where Catherine looked absolutely stunning, and both of them received thunderous applause. They met with cancer survivors including singer Jessie J in moments of genuine human connection that cameras captured beautifully. The contrast between their grace and Meghan's vanity couldn't have been more stark, and sources speculate that Harry watched the public pile on with mounting dread. But the Duchess' demand was only the opening act. What unfolded next would shake Harry to his core and leave the Sussex brand in smoking ruins. Let's dive into exactly how absurd this situation really is, because the more you learn about Meghan's alleged demand, the worse it gets. According to reports surfacing from the Harper's Bazaar piece, Meghan doesn't just want people to call her Duchess in formal settings. Sources close to the situation reveal she expects to be announced when entering rooms, as if she's arriving at a royal gala instead of someone's living room. Think about the sheer entitlement required to make that kind of demand. In traditional royal protocol, formal announcements happen at state dinners, official ceremonies, and events where the monarch or senior royals need to be properly introduced. But Meghan allegedly wants this treatment at casual gatherings, private dinners, and everyday interactions. Here's where it gets even more ridiculous. Royal experts point out that even when Queen Elizabeth was alive, she didn't demand this kind of theatrical entrance in informal settings. The late Queen understood the difference between duty and vanity, between protocol that serves a purpose and ego that serves only itself. Palace insiders whisper that working royals like Princess Anne and the Duke of Edinburgh actively avoided unnecessary formality because they understood that respect is earned through service, not demanded through titles. Meghan apparently missed that memo entirely, or more likely, she simply doesn't care. The backlash from this revelation has been particularly fierce in America, where the whole concept of royal titles feels fundamentally un-American. Word on the street suggests that many Americans who were initially sympathetic to Meghan's struggles with the royal family are now questioning whether she ever really wanted to escape the institution or just wanted to control it on her own terms. Critics are pointing out the hypocrisy of someone who claims she wanted privacy and normalcy, but then insists on being announced like visiting royalty everywhere she goes. You can't have it both ways, and the public is finally catching on to the contradiction. Industry insiders suggest the most damning part is how this demand reveals Meghan's priorities. She's not concerned with substance or impact or actually helping people. She's fixated on status symbols and the trappings of importance without doing the actual work that would make those honors meaningful. The comparison to Columbo that went viral wasn't just about fashion. It was about someone trying desperately to project an image of sophistication and importance while the whole performance comes across as awkward and forced. Behind closed doors, people are saying that even Harry must be cringing at this revelation. He grew up watching his grandmother navigate public life with humility despite being the actual queen. He saw his mother command respect through her humanitarian work, not through demanding deference. Now he's married to someone who allegedly requires formal announcements at informal gatherings, and sources speculate the cognitive dissonance must be overwhelming for him. But Meghan's vanity wasn't the only thing Harper's Bazaar exposed. The public reaction to this demand was about to get even more savage. The internet showed Meghan Markle absolutely no mercy, and the speed at which public opinion turned against her was staggering. Within hours of the Harper's Bazaar piece dropping, social media platforms exploded with mockery, outrage, and disbelief. Twitter users couldn't believe what they were reading. The hashtags came fast and furious, with critics dragging Meghan for what they saw as the ultimate display of narcissism and self-importance. Royal watchers who had remained neutral or even sympathetic suddenly found themselves joining the chorus of criticism, and the consensus was clear: Meghan had finally gone too far. The Columbo comparison became the symbol of everything wrong with the Harper's Bazaar spread. Someone took a screenshot of Meghan in her oversized beige trench coat and placed it next to Peter Falk's iconic detective character, and the visual similarity was undeniable. But the meme went deeper than just fashion. It represented how Meghan's carefully constructed image of sophistication and elegance was falling apart under scrutiny. People weren't buying the perfection she was selling anymore, and the jokes wrote themselves. One viral tweet read, "Just one more thing, Duchess. Why do you need to be announced at a barbecue?" The post racked up hundreds of thousands of likes. Royal commentators weren't holding back either. Rupert Bell, speaking on the Heirs and Spares podcast, called the Duchess demand absolutely crass and questioned how far up your own backside you had to be to require formal announcements in casual settings. He pointed out that even actual monarchs don't behave this way in private, and Meghan's insistence on the treatment revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of what royalty actually means. The commentary wasn't just critical, it was scathing, and it reflected a broader shift in how media figures were willing to discuss Meghan's behavior. Then came the statistic that nobody could ignore. Ranker.com confirmed what many had suspected. Meghan Markle had officially become the most disliked celebrity in America, not just among royals or public figures, but across the entire celebrity landscape. The buzz in royal circles is that this ranking represents a catastrophic fall from grace for someone who once had Hollywood eating out of her hand. Reports are surfacing that the combination of the Duchess demand, her pattern of attacking the royal family, and her increasingly obvious ego had finally alienated the American public beyond repair. According to sources, even people in Hollywood were distancing themselves from Meghan. Industry insiders suggest that her vanity demands and constant need for validation have made her toxic in entertainment circles. Nobody wants to work with someone who requires royal protocol at industry events. Nobody wants to be associated with the kind of entitlement that demands formal announcements at dinner parties. The mockery wasn't just coming from royal fans anymore, it was coming from every corner of popular culture, and insiders claim Meghan was blindsided by how quickly the narrative turned against her. But while the public was eviscerating Meghan online, something else was happening behind closed doors. Prince Harry was reportedly struggling with the fallout in ways nobody expected. Palace sources are painting a troubling picture of Prince Harry's state of mind, and insiders claim the cracks in his facade are becoming impossible to hide. According to reports, Harry is struggling to defend his wife's behavior, and the Duchess demand has left him in an increasingly uncomfortable position. Sources close to the situation reveal that Harry grew up watching his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, navigate public life with grace and humility, despite being the most powerful royal in the world. Now he's watching his wife demand the same treatment at casual gatherings, and the disconnect is allegedly eating away at him. But the Harper's Bazaar piece exposed something even more disturbing about the Sussex marriage, and it's the detail that has palace insiders most concerned. Throughout the entire article, Meghan gushed about how much Harry loves her, how he has her back, and how she's never felt more supported. But here's what she didn't say. She never once reciprocated those feelings publicly. She never talked about how much she loves him, or how grateful she is for his sacrifices. The entire piece read like a one-way street, with Harry serving as her emotional support system, while Meghan focused entirely on herself. Royal commentators immediately picked up on this imbalance, and the speculation began swirling. Rupert Bell addressed this on his podcast, asking why Meghan couldn't find it in herself to publicly praise Harry the way he constantly praises her. He pointed out that if someone genuinely loves their partner, they don't just talk about being loved, they talk about loving in return. The fact that Meghan's entire narrative centers on Harry's devotion to her, without any meaningful reciprocation, suggests a relationship dynamic that's deeply troubling. Word on the street suggests this isn't just an oversight, it's a pattern that reveals who really holds the power in that marriage. Behind closed doors, people are saying that Harry appears increasingly isolated and uncomfortable. He's cut off from his family, alienated from his old friends, and now he's watching his wife's vanity become a global punchline. Sources speculate that he's trapped in a situation where defending Meghan means defending the indefensible, but abandoning her would mean admitting he made a catastrophic mistake. The pressure must be unbearable, and insiders claim it's starting to show in his public appearances and demeanor. Palace insiders whisper that Harry's relationship with his brother William has deteriorated to the point of no return, partly because William allegedly warned him about Meghan's behavior years ago. Reports are surfacing that William saw the red flags early: the ego, the need for constant attention, the inability to understand royal duty, but Harry dismissed his concerns as jealousy or prejudice. Now, watching Meghan demand to be announced like royalty, while simultaneously trashing the institution that gave her that title, sources suggest Harry might be having some painful realizations about who was right all along. The question palace insiders are asking is simple: how long can Harry keep pretending everything is fine? And more importantly, what happens when he finally admits it's not? But Harry's internal struggles were nothing compared to the fury building inside Kensington Palace. The reaction inside Kensington Palace has been described as nothing short of explosive, and insiders claim Prince William's team views Meghan's Duchess demand as the final piece of evidence they needed. According to sources, palace officials have been quietly documenting a pattern of behavior that proves Meghan never understood what royal service actually means, and this latest vanity-fueled controversy has vindicated every concern they raised years ago. Behind closed doors, people are saying that William's patience has officially run out, and the gloves are coming off in ways we haven't seen before. Palace insiders whisper that William's team has started using a term that's both chilling and revealing. They're calling Harry and Meghan sleeper cells, a phrase used half-jokingly, but reflecting very real fears about the Sussexes' long-term strategy. The concern, according to reports surfacing from well-placed sources, is that Harry and Meghan are positioning themselves as an alternative royal unit, ready to destabilize the institution from afar and then swoop in when pressure mounts. The fear within palace walls is that they're not done attacking, and every new controversy is designed to weaken William and Catherine's standing. But here's what makes William's position so powerful. While Meghan was demanding to be announced at dinner parties, William and Catherine were out doing actual royal work, and the contrast couldn't have been more devastating. They attended the Royal Variety performance at Royal Albert Hall in London, where they received a genuinely warm reception that insiders described as thunderous applause and genuine affection. Catherine looked absolutely stunning, turning heads in elegant attire that proved once again why she's considered a fashion icon. But more importantly, they were there doing the job, raising money for charity, supporting British talent, and representing the monarchy with dignity. The moment that really captured hearts came when Catherine embraced singer Jessie J, who had publicly shared her own cancer battle. Sources close to the situation reveal that the hug was spontaneous and genuine, a moment of real human connection between two women who understood the trauma of fighting for their lives. This wasn't performative compassion or staged photo opportunities. This was authentic empathy, and people watching could feel the difference. Royal commentators pointed out that this is what real royalty looks like: service over self, substance over spectacle, and genuine connection over demanding deference. Industry insiders suggest that William's strategy is becoming clear. He's not going to engage in public feuds or respond to every Sussex provocation. Instead, he's letting his work speak for itself, and the contrast is doing all the talking for him. While Meghan obsesses over titles and announcements, William is preparing to be king. While Harry records conversations for future tell-all projects, William is building relationships with world leaders and addressing climate change at international forums. The trajectories couldn't be more different, and palace sources speculate that William knows time is on his side. According to reports, William's team has also started quietly briefing trusted journalists about the full extent of Sussex duplicity, and the Duchess demand is just the beginning. But the Harper's Bazaar disaster had even more damaging revelations buried in its pages. The Harper's Bazaar article wasn't just embarrassing because of the Duchess demand. The entire piece was riddled with questionable claims, recycled stories, and narratives that had already been debunked, and royal watchers immediately started picking it apart. Sources close to the situation reveal that Meghan essentially dusted off the same playbook she'd used with other publications, hoping that Harper's Bazaar wouldn't do their due diligence. Unfortunately for her, the internet has a long memory, and fact-checkers were ready to pounce on every fabrication. Let's start with the Rodney King riot story, a tale Meghan has told multiple times about allegedly witnessing chaos and violence firsthand as a child in Los Angeles. According to her narrative, she saw the ash raining down and experienced the terror of civil unrest up close. But here's the problem. Anyone with basic research skills can look up where Meghan actually lived during that period, and the reality destroys her dramatic retelling. Reports are surfacing that Meghan grew up in an upper-middle-class neighborhood that was nowhere near the areas affected by the riots. She lived in a safe, predominantly white, affluent area where the biggest concern was keeping up with the neighbors, not dodging looters and violence. Royal biographer Tom Bower addressed this exact issue in his book, pointing out how Vanity Fair had previously refused to publish some of Meghan's unverifiable stories because they couldn't confirm the details. The magazine's fact-checkers did their jobs and realized that Meghan's version of events didn't match reality, so they declined to include certain claims. But Harper's Bazaar apparently didn't have the same standards, and they published the Rodney King story without questioning whether a girl living miles away from the violence could have experienced what Meghan described. The buzz in royal circles is that this represents lazy journalism at best and deliberate propaganda at worst. Then there's the soap story, Meghan's favorite tale about how she single-handedly changed sexist advertising at age 11 by writing letters to powerful people. According to sources, this story has been told and retold so many times that it's become part of Meghan mythology, but verification has always been suspiciously absent. Industry insiders suggest that Vanity Fair also had concerns about this narrative, unable to confirm key details that would prove Meghan's version of events actually happened the way she claims. Yet Harper's Bazaar ran with it anyway, presenting it as established fact rather than Meghan's self-serving recollection. But the most egregious falsehood remains the secret wedding claim, and it's the lie that permanently destroyed Meghan's credibility with royal observers. She told Oprah Winfrey that she and Harry got married 3 days before their official ceremony, forcing the Archbishop of Canterbury to perform a private ceremony in their backyard. The problem? That's legally impossible, and the Archbishop himself had to gently correct the record, explaining that what happened was a private exchange of vows, not a legal marriage. Insiders claim Meghan knew exactly what she was doing when she made that claim, deliberately misleading millions of viewers to create a more romantic narrative. Palace sources speculate that Harper's Bazaar's willingness to publish Meghan's greatest hits without proper fact-checking proves how desperate both parties were for positive coverage. But the timing of the release revealed an even more calculated strategy. If there's one thing Meghan Markle has perfected over the years, it's the art of strategic disruption, and the Harper's Bazaar release was no accident. Royal watchers have documented a disturbing pattern that's become impossible to ignore. Every single time Prince William and Princess Catherine have an important moment, a meaningful engagement, or positive press coverage, Meghan mysteriously drops a bombshell that's designed to steal the headlines. Sources close to the situation reveal that this isn't coincidence, it's calculated sabotage, and palace insiders are furious about the blatant disrespect. Let's look at the receipts. The Harper's Bazaar article dropped during the exact same week that William and Catherine were out in full force, attending the royal variety performance and showcasing what authentic royal duty looks like. Catherine had just delivered a powerful speech about empathy and compassion for those affected by drug and alcohol addiction, a heartfelt message that came from her own experiences supporting people through their darkest moments. She was making real impact, using her platform for genuine good, and the public response was overwhelmingly positive. Then Meghan swooped in with her magazine cover and Duchess demands, and suddenly the conversation shifted from Catherine's meaningful work to Meghan's vanity and ego. But the pattern goes back much further, and it's been happening for years. Remember when Harry was promoting his memoir Spare? Meghan went completely silent, nowhere to be seen during his media tour, where he humiliated himself talking about his frostbitten todger and other cringeworthy revelations. She let him twist in the wind alone. But the moment William or Catherine have positive news, Meghan suddenly has a trailer to drop, a magazine cover to release, or a charity appearance to announce. The consistency is remarkable, and palace sources speculate it's deliberate psychological warfare designed to prevent the working royals from ever enjoying uninterrupted success. Industry insiders suggest the most egregious example is coming next week. Meghan's Netflix series drops on December 3rd, and anyone paying attention knows that's the first week of December, which is when Catherine traditionally records her Christmas Carol concert. This annual event has become one of Catherine's signature projects, a beautiful celebration of community and faith that airs on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It's meaningful, it's popular, and it showcases Catherine at her absolute best. So naturally, Meghan scheduled her cooking show to launch during the same week, ensuring maximum competition for headlines and attention. Behind closed doors, people are saying that Catherine is fed up with the constant disruption. Sources close to the Princess of Wales reveal that she's tired of Meghan's jealousy and obsessive need to compete with working royals who are actually doing their jobs. The buzz in royal circles is that Catherine has stopped viewing Meghan as family or even as a rival, and now sees her as simply irrelevant, a desperate attention seeker, whose tactics are becoming more transparent with each pathetic attempt to stay relevant. But Meghan's timing strategy didn't just annoy the palace, it sparked outrage among people who were starting to see the pattern for themselves, and the reaction from Hollywood and royal circles was about to get even more brutal. The whispers coming out of both Hollywood and palace circles paint a devastating picture of how Meghan Markle is now viewed by the people who matter most, and insiders claim her reputation has reached a point of no return. According to sources, entertainment industry executives who once saw Meghan as a potentially valuable commodity are now treating her like radioactive waste. The Duchess demand wasn't just embarrassing, it confirmed what many in Hollywood had suspected for years. Meghan is impossible to work with, obsessed with status over substance, and more concerned with titles than actual talent. Industry insiders suggest that major studios and production companies have quietly blacklisted Meghan from serious projects. Word on the street suggests that nobody wants to deal with someone who allegedly requires royal protocol on set. demands special treatment, and creates drama wherever she goes. One unnamed executive reportedly told colleagues that working with Meghan would be a nightmare because she doesn't see herself as an actress or producer. She sees herself as royalty who occasionally dabbles in entertainment. That kind of attitude is career poison in an industry that values professionalism and teamwork above ego and entitlement. The Netflix situation is particularly telling. Reports are surfacing that the streaming giant is deeply unhappy with the return on investment they've gotten from the Sussex deal. They paid millions for content that was supposed to generate buzz and subscribers, but what they've received instead is a cooking show that's already being mocked before it even airs, a polo documentary that nobody asked for, and a pattern of controversy that's more exhausting than profitable. Behind closed doors, people are saying that Netflix executives are counting down the days until the Sussex contract expires, with no intention of renewal. Royal circles are even less forgiving, and the language being used to describe Meghan has become remarkably harsh. Palace insiders whisper that she's viewed as a toxic poison for the royal family, someone whose ego and vanity pose an existential threat to the institution. According to well-placed sources, there's genuine fear within palace walls that Harry and Meghan are positioning themselves to launch fresh attacks whenever William and Catherine gain momentum. The term alternative royal unit is being used to describe their strategy, and the concern is that they're building a parallel brand designed to undermine the real monarchy. The most chilling revelation comes from palace figures who claim that there's widespread fear Harry can't help himself and is recording every conversation and meeting as material for his second memoir or another Netflix series. Sources close to the situation reveal that nobody in the royal family trusts Harry anymore, and the paranoia about being secretly documented has made any potential reconciliation impossible. The buzz in royal circles is that Harry's betrayal runs deeper than just writing a tell-all book. He's actively gathering intelligence for future attacks, and Meghan is allegedly encouraging this scorched earth approach. Royal commentators point out that both Hollywood and the palace have reached the same conclusion independently. Meghan Markle is a liability, not an asset, and anyone who gets close to her ends up damaged by the association. But the immediate consequences of the Harper's Bazaar disaster were already starting to materialize in ways even Meghan couldn't ignore. The fallout from Meghan's Duchess demand hit faster and harder than anyone anticipated, and sources close to the situation reveal that the damage is already reshaping the Sussex brand in catastrophic ways. According to industry insiders, potential sponsorship deals that were in preliminary discussions have quietly evaporated, with brands suddenly going radio silent rather than risk association with someone who's become America's most disliked celebrity. The buzz in marketing circles is that Meghan has become box office poison, and no amount of royal titles can compensate for the liability she represents to corporate reputations. Reports are surfacing that high-end fashion houses who once courted Meghan are now keeping their distance. Sources speculate that luxury brands don't want their products associated with someone who's being compared to Columbo and mocked relentlessly across social media platforms. The fashion industry thrives on aspiration and elegance, not on vanity demands and tone-deaf entitlement. One unnamed fashion executive reportedly told colleagues that Meghan's brand is the opposite of what luxury represents. She's trying too hard, demanding too much, and coming across as desperate rather than sophisticated. But the consequences extend beyond just business opportunities. Palace insiders whisper that the Duchess demand has permanently closed the door on any potential reconciliation with the royal family. According to well-placed sources, King Charles had been quietly open to the possibility of some kind of olive branch, perhaps allowing Harry limited involvement in family events or maintaining minimal contact. But Meghan's latest display of ego has reportedly disgusted the king, and insiders claim he's now fully aligned with William's hardline approach. The message from the palace is clear. There's no path back for people who abuse royal titles while simultaneously attacking the institution. The media landscape has also shifted dramatically against Meghan. Royal commentators who once tried to remain balanced or give her the benefit of the doubt are now openly critical, using words like delusional, narcissistic, and out of touch to describe her behavior. The Duchess demand gave critics permission to say what they'd been thinking all along, and the gloves have come off in spectacular fashion. Word on the street suggests that even journalists who were sympathetic to Meghan's struggles with the royal family now view her as someone who squandered every opportunity and blamed everyone else for her failures. Social media metrics tell an even grimmer story. According to sources tracking online engagement, negative sentiment toward Meghan has reached record highs, with even former supporters expressing exhaustion and disappointment. The comments sections under articles about the Duchess demand are brutal, with readers questioning her mental state, her marriage, and her future prospects. Behind closed doors, people are saying that Meghan has managed to unite people across political and cultural divides in their shared dislike of her behavior, an impressive feat of alienation that few public figures achieve. Industry insiders suggest that Harry is watching this meltdown with growing panic, realizing that his wife's vanity has destroyed whatever goodwill they had left. Sources speculate that he's trapped between defending Meghan and facing reality, and the cognitive dissonance is becoming unbearable. But the bigger question looming over the Sussex household is what comes next, and whether their relationship can survive the implosion. The Duchess demand disaster has exposed fault lines in the Sussex brand that can't be repaired, and insiders claim we're watching the beginning of the end for Harry and Meghan's public relevance. According to sources close to the situation, the couple is facing a brutal reality check. Their strategy of attacking the royal family while clinging to royal titles has finally collapsed under the weight of its own hypocrisy, and the public has stopped buying what they're selling. Palace insiders whisper that reconciliation is no longer just unlikely, it's impossible, and the Sussexes will spend the rest of their lives on the outside looking in. But here's the question that's keeping royal watchers up at night. How long can this marriage survive the mounting pressure? Reports are surfacing that Harry appears increasingly uncomfortable with Meghan's behavior, and sources speculate that watching his wife demand to be announced like royalty while the world mocks her must be soul-crushing for someone who grew up with actual dignity and protocol. The buzz in royal circles is that Harry married someone who wants all the prestige of royalty without any of the substance, and the realization is allegedly eating away at him. Industry insiders suggest that Meghan's ego will ultimately be her downfall, not just professionally but personally. She's created a dynamic where everything revolves around her needs, her image, and her validation, leaving Harry as little more than an accessory to her ambitions. Behind closed doors, people are saying that a relationship built on such imbalance can't sustain itself indefinitely, and the cracks are already showing. The question isn't if things will fall apart, but when, and how spectacular the implosion will be when it finally happens. The palace, meanwhile, is moving forward without them. William and Catherine are solidifying their position as the future of the monarchy, doing the actual work while the Sussexes chase headlines and demand deference. According to well-placed sources, the contrast has never been clearer, and public opinion has decisively chosen substance over spectacle. Royal commentators point out that in 10 years, William will be preparing for kingship, while Harry and Meghan will be footnotes in royal history. Cautionary tales about what happens when ego overtakes duty. Word on the street suggests that Meghan's vanity-fueled Duchess demand will be remembered as the moment her facade finally crumbled completely. It wasn't the worst thing she's done, but it was the most revealing, exposing her priorities and her delusions in ways that even her defenders couldn't spin. Sources speculate that historians will look back on this moment as the point where the Sussex brand died, killed by the very vanity that Meghan thought would sustain it. So here's the question for you. Can Harry and Meghan survive the consequences of her ego, or are we watching a marriage and a brand circle the drain in real time? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video is waiting, and trust me, you won't believe what's coming next. The Sussex drama is far from over, and the explosions are only getting bigger.